You pass the marmalade.
That is mahogany.
When it comes to creating the look and feel of futurist cinematic dystopia, the Hunger Games saga from early 2010s is a prime example of excellence. Utilizing a vast swath of design inspirations for both the characters and the fictional world at large, the movies are a design tour de force in creating a detailed, highly visual socio-economic reality of the plot. Today I'm going to look at the art direction and focus on the analysis of the imagery, art history, and design theory behind the look and feel of the Hunger Games movies, and explore how the franchise establishes a visual language of a fictional futurist revolution. If you've seen the movies and would like to get a more in-depth look at the visuals, well, here you are. And since the video ended a bit longer than expected, I decided to divide it into two parts. But without further ado, here it is. Welcome to the Hunger Games Aesthetic Analysis, Part 1. One, two worlds. So the first thing we get to see is District 12, which is where Katniss lives. And instantly we see that this is a very somber, rustic, underprivileged place where people live on the brink of poverty, pretty much lacking basic amenities and who are heavily policed. Visually, it reminds me a bit of the American Midwest in Great Depression era, but also it has this Eastern European World War II look to it. And when we look a little bit closer, the movie has much more visual connotations to the look and feel of World War II. In the Reaping, a ceremony of selecting game contestants, notice the 1940s clothing and this somber grey-blue color palette. Throughout the movie, we get to see a number of visual cues to Nazi occupation of Poland, and this great usage of historical visual hints gives us a subliminal feeling that whatever is about to happen on screen is, in fact, deeply sinister. It frames the plot in this unsettling visual backdrop of the 1930s and 1940s that sadly we know from the pages of our own history. And then...
Welcome.
we're being presented with Effie Trinket, escort to the games. This woman is fully clad head to toe in outrageous couture, which is so bizarrely at odds with the world we see. Aesthetically, her extravagance feels so deeply out of place. There is something truly grotesque in seeing that woman standing in the midst of all those kids. But here again, the movie draws its particular extravagance as evil trope from the actual context of 1940s fashion history. You see, in Europe during the times of World War II, apart from introduction of rationing fabrics due to war effort, which forbade the excessive use of textiles for fashion, and thus creating a belief that everything beyond practical seemed unpatriotic, hence a rare sight of floor-length dresses in 1940s Europe, there was also a separate issue with haute couture itself. In 1940s, high fashion meant exclusively Paris, and fashion industry as an inherently French asset had economic weight, and while war-driven recession deepened civil poverty, one imported couture dress, it is claimed, would pay for a ton of imported coal, and a liter of exported perfume brought in the financial equivalent of 2 tons of imported fuel oil. There's no surprise then that with Nazi occupation of Paris, Hitler planned to move and re-establish a fashion capital to Berlin. He even attempted to relocate French designers to Germany, and while his pursuit at large failed, the French couture designers, the likes of Balenciaga, were forced to maintain clientele comprising mostly of Nazi officers' wives, leaving in collective memory a lingering mark of associating women wearing 1940s couture with not merely a lack of collective solidarity, but an outward sign of sympathizing with the enemy. So that's one of the reasons why this certain fashion silhouette may remind us, at least at face value, an air of sophisticated malevolence. But of course we get to find out that Effie isn't the real villain here, rather she's just a product of her environment. A kind, good-natured yet naive character. Her visual extravagance represents her bumbling entrepreneurial spirit. And with most costumes being amazing, I admire the 40s, early Victorian, late Victorian, vintage, geisha blend of inspirations for the character. But I absolutely love the movie's use of actual couture fashion, chiefly from the collections of Alexander McQueen throughout The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. But long before she reaches her redemption arc, Effie takes our D12 team to the train leading to Capitol, which presents another interesting design trope. The train itself is made in style called American Streamline, which is a smaller, quieter cousin of Art Deco, manifested in its hallmark parallel chromed lines design as seen here on this amazing microphone, and repeated throughout both the exterior and the elements of the interior of the train. But the real design treat lies inside, and along with our heroes, we get to witness this jaw-dropping sleekness of Art Deco brown and velvet blue beauty, filled with luxury artifacts painting this aesthetically alien world of rarefied elegance, which is in such a stark contrast with the world we've previously seen, and with a color scheme resemblance of an existing drop-dead stunning train, a Belmont Orient Express, which is a real actual working train, I shit you not. Seriously. Wow. It serves as a nod to the aesthetic history of luxury train travel culture, having its absolute peak in the first half of 20th century. And in a sense, there is a deeper meaning as to why exactly Art Deco is utilized as a design choice, as the train was something of a epoch's poster child in embodying its design philosophy. Elongated lines symbolize not only speed of movement but also, figuratively, a progress. This train is not only a mode of transportation, but of personal and collective transformation as well. Hence, along with the car, the ship, and the plane, the streamlined design of applied arts was a visual cue for conceptual promise of the better world, leaving the old, bad, stale, and entering the new, exciting, better. A promise that, as we know, ceased to exist with 1939's emergence of war, and similarly, a promise that never came to be for our heroes either. We finally reach the capital, which we instantly see as this immense metropolis, a highly developed city and the governing epicenter of the world, gleaming with technical and technological advancement, filled with interiors in this very distinct late 2000s futurism meets pop art style. A very loud, intense, high-key eclecticism of furnishings, color blocking mixed with statement art and brutalist grayness. The aesthetic divisions range from toned-down contemporary all the way to Japanese-inspired, naive tech-pop design. We also get to see the people of Capitol, who, just like Effie before, are fully clad in richly stylized couture, design-wise not really adhering to anything specific. Costume-wise, it is a very intense, eclectic mix of references from Victorian through 40s, 50s, 60s to modern evening wear. Here, fashion, as much as context of luxury design language, work as a lifestyle caricature in the face of the regime, and presenting us with two completely different worlds and their realities, so vastly contrasting and defying one another visually, brings up the cues of the times in history of similar socio-political contrast. Similarly here, the glaring opposites of aesthetics and juxtaposed imagery serve to enrich the narrative in growing yet grim and thrilling visual tension that only waits to be burst. 2. Media culture. Let's go back to Capital for a moment. In terms of location, the focal point for the games is the Avenue of the Tributes, a main square parade built on a massive axial plan, typical for historical classical urban planning. The Avenue is an architectural style called stripped classicism, more precisely a fascist 1930s branch. Those severe, brutalist compositions hinting at classical orders but being largely devoid of ornamentation remind of the works of Hitler's favorite architect Albert Speer. The use of color, decor and hard-edged style of insignia hints at Nazi military parades, while the incredibly vast size of the strip brings to mind Hitler's design for Germania, a plan for post-war Berlin, with its surreal scale and overpowering totality of urban planning. The use of those references makes the Avenue exude sense of oppressive authority and military-like grandiosity necessary to establish the stage for the main ceremony. And before we get to see the actual games, we get to see the grand parade of the tributes, stylized into what appears to be an antique Roman gladiatorial procession. This choice of antiquity in terms of style works twofold here. It visually elevates and mythologizes to the capital citizen what is, at its core, an essentially inhumane, vile fight to death of slave kids. While for the audience, it's hinting back to fascism, the Mussolini-era Italy, and its fascination with romanticized nostalgia for the militant might of Roman Empire, aesthetically invoking the idea of fascist mysticism. The aesthetics of the event, paired with the Nazi-implied environment, reinforces the design language of a total oppressive political state we get to recognize from the Europe's own past. But of course, apart from its high-key state ceremonial aspect, the parade is also simply played for the thrill of entertainment. Displayed in a full showmanship mode of live event production, it is rich in design cues to contemporary broadcast media we all know from modern television. The visuals of the gossip reports, talk shows, candid interviews, opening galas, and award ceremonies, establishing the familiarity of pop culture and mass media and grounding the narrative in our contemporary reality. So much so that certain scenes even mirror the actual events, like Jennifer Lawrence winning her own Oscars, which happened around the time of shooting. And also, there is the concept of sponsors.
Did they explain about trying to get sponsors?
So you're here to make me look pretty?
I'm here to help you make an impression.
Some matches can mean the difference between life and death. And those things only come from sponsors. And to get sponsors, you have to make people like you.
Intensely foreshadowing the reality of our current social media influencer culture, the movie taps into this idea of behavioral aesthetics. The contact as optics for the benefit in media, an ever-present consciousness of camera addressed with this highly stylized artifice of behavior for the sake of your own brand persona.
He did you a favor.
He made me look weak.
He made you look desirable, which in your case can't hurt, sweetheart. Now, I can sell the Star-Crossed Lovers from District 12.
We are not star-crossed lovers.
It's a television show. And being in love with that boy might just get you sponsors, which could save your damn life. Well, I don't know how else to put this. Make sure they remember you.
So when it comes down to it, and tributes have to fight for their lives in a brutal combat, they are also made to be highly aware of the optics of their own presentation as both TV contestants and sports players, which plays down the actual horror of the games for society that is completely consumed with being hung up on luxury.
It all needs to be
Fabulous.
exactly.
You two are in for a treat. Crystal chandeliers, platinum doorknobs, and it flies. We'll be at the Capitol in less than 2 days.
Here, the immersion in luxury serves as desensitization to the cruelty of the system, not seen just in conspicuous consumption, but also in the actual consumption habits of the capital, so juxtaposed with the famine of the districts. Food is always ultimate visual symbol of power imbalance and shows the obscene excess at the most primary level.
Here,
What's this?
it's for when you're full.
It makes you sick. So you can go on eating.
How else could you taste everything?
This woeful ignorance is always propped up by providing broadcast entertainment as deflective propaganda. The facade of soapy pleasantries, artificially engineered interviews, and showmanship of fashion serves to keep people invested away from the actual issues.
God, does anybody actually believe this?
Apparently everybody.
She is very good.
Every year, your private life becomes theirs. From now on, your job is to be a distraction, so people forget what the real problems are.
At times, we see propaganda art being cleverly utilized as aesthetic reference, like in the photo here, borrowing the composition and theme from Soviet propaganda posters, or hinting at Stalinist-era poster children. All of it aims to blur the distinction between the media and the political intimidation.
What kind of dress is she gonna wear? Floggings? What's the cake gonna look like? Executions? Who's gonna be there?
So when the rebellion starts to rise up, it isn't instantly seen as fighting the horrors of the regime, but is rather presented through the optics of assault on tradition.
They are coming to destroy our way of life. They do not share our values. They have never known our comfort and our sophistication, and they despise us for it. Make no mistake.
I don't think I ever really understood the capital until now. You eat like this and believe anything.
So really, in this sense, the movie is an interesting case study for utilizing visual language of luxury as a means of maintaining political affirmation, while the media gives way to performative symbolism and display of affinities in a maze in which the clear lines are blurred between understanding where the entertainment ends and the propaganda begins. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Actually, this is the first ever video I've made, so please comment, please like, subscribe, and if you have any comments, I would be happy to find out. Part 2 coming very soon, and yeah, thank you so much.